Hey guys, this is Pedro back with another interview, this time covering VCT Americas Stage 2 for playoffs in the 2025 season. My guest at this time is IC of Evil Geniuses, this time coming off of their match against 100 Thieves, in which they came out on the losing end, losing 2-0 to us, go down. Well, not really go down, but be eliminated from the competition. So, IC, can't thank you enough once again for giving me the opportunity for this quick conversation. And as I said, season's over. There's no kind of other way to explain it. Just want to ask you first and foremost, what's going through your mind?
There's definitely a lot of things going through my mind. Like it's tough to digest the loss and that everything's just done for the season. But I guess just like after the match, just thinking about certain rounds that could have swayed into our favor, and just like things we could have improved on to just make that a better game. Like the first round that comes to mind is the 1v3 where we all lined up. Like I was thinking in the match, like that's not gonna haunt us. Like of course, like I'm just eyes forward, thinking we're just gonna laugh it off like later, because I was like fully thinking and fully believing that we were gonna win that game. So it was not something I was like stressing about, but like that's the round that immediately comes to my mind after the game. Because for sure in the moment I was thinking like that's gonna be no big deal. Like we're just gonna move past that and laugh about it once the game's over.
Yeah, you kind of not want to dive into Corrode, and obviously that was the time frame in which we saw the closest out of this series between your team and 100 Thieves. Obviously, you guys had a little bit of a cushion in the middle part of the second half. And then by that point, 100 Thieves started to wrestle the momentum back to their favor and ultimately ended into overtime. And then they took the series and the map simultaneously. And so once you guys started moving over into the defensive side, and once you guys started like going through losing pistol and the bonus and all that stuff, how difficult was it for you guys to get anything going on defensive side in that map against 100 Thieves?
I mean, throughout the game, we felt like that every round was winnable, and like there were certain rounds that were just like you could just pin it as being as unlucky. So I think we weren't really like stressing too hard about like losing our lead or anything. It was just more of staying composed and just playing the game that we know. And I think I felt like we were following our game plan as to how we wanted. Just some rounds just did not go our way, and I could pin it on being unlucky or just like maybe not peaking on the same timing with the teammate. But I just feel like that game was ours to win on Corrode for sure.
Obviously, like it was kind of difficult for like seeing you guys try to like retake the site. I believe it was on B mostly. You can kind of correct me on that in your answer. It's kind of kept on happening one time and time again. And how did you view the difficulty of just trying to retake the site once they had the spike planted and you're trying to make it difficult as possible for you guys to make that retake in that time frame.
Like I said, I feel like we had a good game plan going into it, and I think our we were very like able to trust our retakes, and I think like some of them, like just the trades were not going our way, and I think that was our main struggle. But we were confident going into those retakes. Like we knew they have double initiator, double scan, comp, and like it's something we prepared for in the week leading up to this. So yeah, I would say like we were fully prepared for these retakes. We knew it was going to come to that, and I think just trades did not go our way.
You mentioned about the game plan a few times already. I mean, I want to ask you about what was that game plan heading into today. And as we saw the map veto or map ban pick phase transpire, we saw you guys go for the corrode and also 100 Thieves picking the bind. Obviously, these two maps are arguably the opposing team's strongest maps. And so, what I want to ask and start off talking about that part of the game plan is, why go for, that route in having 100 Thieves get the opportunity to pick bind and also going for the Crota for your team.
I think like Bind and Corrode were two of our stronger maps. Like coming to the series, I just feel like we knew like these were our better maps, and like even if it's their strengths, like we know it's our strength. So we weren't really like focusing too much on them, but more so like us. I know we haven't played Bind this split or just this season, I don't think, but like in scrims and stuff, we were feeling really good on Bind. and it's something that we were happy with them picking. Like we were like really looking forward, hoping they pick Bind, and I just think our just things fell apart in that game. I think there was a lot of moments where we just like weren't staying composed or just hesitating, and I think that was our like ultimate demise.
So there was like no consideration for other maps. It was always going to be Bind Road and the third map.
I mean, of course, we were like considering other maps. It's not like we were just scrimmaging those two maps, but it was just more so we had a feeling they were going to pick Bind, and we knew we wanted to pick Corrode. We did not think they were going to ban Corrode, so we just knew the series would play out this way. And map 3 was kind of up in the air, but I think Ascent we were also like really confident on, even though we were on attack side. Like it was a map that we've been feeling good on in scrims. Like even we haven't showed it much or like showed our good side of Ascent. Like we beat 2G and Furia, but we had rough losses as well, like against G2. But I think that Ascent was one of our better maps as well. So this map pool just felt good for us.
I want to ask you about the composition for Bind. Obviously, we saw you guys, go for the Gecko and raise Viper Fate and Brimstone. What was the thought process behind going for that aspect? And given what you said also about where you guys were at in screaming with that map, what gave you or what was the intent behind using these agents for the server in an ideal situation?
On our bind comp, we kind of just started playing the map with a similar composition to our Lotus, where we put like Clove. And I think that just like as time went on, we figured out the comp that was for us, and we ended up moving Ye to Brimstone instead of Clove. And I think like either way, I feel like our comp is like solid on that map with the Gecko. And I mean, I don't know. I feel like our comp's pretty standard, and I think it fit to our play style. Even though Ye is not like known for his brimstone or anything, he was farming in scrims, as well as like anybody on the team. Like Bind was just a good map for us. Like even though we had no match experience on it, like in scrimmages, like we were getting tons of good reps, and just like we were fully confident in it.
Of course, unfortunate that the game plan wasn't able to be realized, and you come out of this with a loss to 100 Thieves. And as I said, also at the start of the conversation, the season ends with this result. Now, as we kind of, or as you begin the long process of processing what happened in today, and also stage two and also stage one kickoff, all that stuff. What are the things that stood out to you in terms of this entire year as a whole? What was the biggest strengths, weaknesses, or anything else of the like that you can kind of like think up right now in the moment after finishing this series?
I think a big strength of ours throughout the year was just like everybody underestimating us. I know like I'm confident in everybody on our team and like their firepower, their aim, their brain, like everything. I just feel like we had a like this roster. Like I think we should have won more, and I'm sad that we weren't able to translate a lot of our like even individually for me. I felt like there was like I've been like frying in scrims, and so it's just like little disheartening not being able to show my full potential as well as like all the boys on the team like our potentials as a roster and even just like individually all of us. I think that we definitely had more to prove and should have been winning more of these games. And I think that not winning some of these games, uh, I don't want to say like hurt our confidence, but I think that if we were winning more of these like group stage games, like we would have had more like confidence to like build off of. You know what I'm saying? Like with our like each win, I feel like if we were able to win some of our closer games, it would have this season would have been different for sure.
Given what you said about the transition from like screaming and doing well there, and then translating that or trying to translate that onto the main stage, what do you think is the cause for that? Is it just mental, or is it just kind of like not being able to gel once the stakes are raised and you're on stage? What do you think?
I think a lot of things can factor into it. Just like simply like playing on a different setup is like one that I would point out just because there's so many different factors that could like play into your setup but I think like for the most part it's just like there's you play so many rounds of Valorant and in the matches like sometimes you'll get like reps of things where maybe you haven't seen like what they're going for or like yeah, I don't know. I just feel like there's definitely like things that'll happen on stage that you won't be able to prepare for. And like in the rounds, I'm saying like other teams will pull something off or like maybe you don't hear as well, because I think like the audio on stage is definitely like a little more muffled than if you were to play in like at your home setup. So I think that that could affect it, like, but also just the environment. I mean, definitely a lot of things can factor into it. I can't pinpoint one.
Moving over the perspective onto you only, I see obviously plenty of chances to talk to you in this season. Obviously, even in the beginning or even before the start of this entire season, there's a lot of chances to talk to you about your expectations and how you view your inclusion to the team. As we now wrap up the season for EG, how do you look at your contribution, your performance in this season for this team?
I feel like for me, I've improved a lot as a player and teammate. I think there's a lot of things that I was lacking in the last year with G2, and I think Coach Potter was a lot of help to me to understand like my per se like weaknesses as a player. Like every player has their strengths and weaknesses, and her being able to like point out like what to improve on was definitely of help to me. And I think that, yeah, I mean, I felt like there was a lot more I could have done this season, like in our matches. Like and there was things that I wasn't able to show that we were doing in scrims, and like I said, that's like a little bit disheartening. But obviously, like I know what I'm capable of as a player and teammate, and I think like even though we weren't able to fully show it, I feel like as a person I've grown, and as a player as well. Just I've become a better person and player.
Of course, most definitely. One more question I want to ask you before I wrap this up. Obviously, not making champions and being so close to qualify for Masters Toronto is kind of not really going to cut it for this team. So maybe who knows what's to say for the future for this team? Whether it'll be changes or not. I'm not here to predict, but to you, IC, how do you look at the future of EG yeah for the future next year and
Yeah, I think EG is an amazing org, and I think like they deserve like everything. And I think just the roster is definitely going to be up in the air. I feel like things in the season would have been a lot different if we were able to secure Masters Toronto a spot there. I think we would have been able to show ourselves, and I think that was the opportunity we needed and the confidence booster for just all of us. I think that would have been a good opportunity to prove ourselves, and I think definitely the season would have been in a ending in a different way. I feel like we would have definitely like been able to bounce back and make champions. But I just think, yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. I think that, yeah.
well, most definitely, I definitely understand that. I see. Can't thank you enough for doing this interview once again. Despite seeing your season come to an end much less or much earlier than you guys would have wanted. Appreciate the time you've given me for this interview. Appreciate the honesty you've given in your answers and all of the times you've done this interviews this season. Can't thank you enough once again. That said, I'm going to wrap up this interview. Thank you so much once again, IC, and best of luck goes to you for whatever happens next in the future.